April 17th. I am sort of shocked to see this. Tulip poplars in bloom. That is 2 weeks early. It normally does not start blooming to May 1st to the 5th, somewhere in there. At least late April. I think the earliest I've seen it is April 25th or 28th. There's a black locust next to this tree. I always come out to these because I can check 2 major flows at once. Black locust always blooms before tulip poplar, but not this year. That's wild. That tree's just humming. I hear my bees in it. I've got a yard maybe a quarter or a third mile from here. They're all over it. Well, I was gonna skip this week doing hive work because I've split everything so hard and I've got boxes on just about everything, but this can be a major flow, so I better make sure they've got plenty of room. Better get around. Got so much to do. I've got a big honey order to go out. So much to do. Thought maybe we'd have a snake out sunning today. Looks like the king snake and the black racer were out. I'm surprised those two get along as well as they do. He thinks he's hiding. So I found some tulip poplar in bloom yesterday. I've been looking at trees compulsively since then. A lot of them are not in bloom yet, but some of them are just getting started. And we've got a cold front moving in with high winds and storms tonight, and then it's going to cool off for a few days. Next week will be warm again, so I think that'll probably slow the main flow down just a bit. But I think they're probably making honey right now. So I've got a lot of honey to get bottled, but I need to box everything with a pulse. So I'm going to very quickly run through hives, and if they've got a pulse, they get a box. This time of year when I pull into a yard, I always check to see if there's a swarm hanging. You hope there's not. Because that means you lost. You lost the game. You're gonna lose some. You just try to win more than you lose. I don't see any in here. That's good. Got 40 boxes of foundation on the trailer. I'll get through this yard as soon as I can. All these threes will probably get a box. Like I say, anybody with a pulse. I don't know if we're into white wax yet or not. We'll find out very soon. Tons of activity. You can tell the bees are on a flow. So I gave this hive a box of partials. You can see that's a partially drawn frame there. And there's a partially drawn frame, a bunch of foundations in here too. I thought that would be enough to suck them up into this top box, but they are not working it. So I'm gonna do what I normally do and go in here and get a frame that they've got brood. Young brood is ideal. That will force them to come up here and start working this. But even a honey frame, if you pull it from the box underneath, 2 works better than 1. If you use 1, I think a frame with some brood on it is the best. But that'll get them up into this box and working. Sometimes they say a foundation box is a barrier and they won't move up into it. But once you get them started working in here, they'll finish it out to about the 8th frame. Then you need to checkerboard the outside frames into the center and they'll finish that box out. All right, so I moved 1 frame with some eggs on it up into the top box. When those larvae hatch, the nurse bees will be up here and that'll get them started in this box. I don't have to worry about this one for a while. So this is the biggest, fastest hive that I got from Bob Benny. More Italian genetics in here, you can tell. That's more of a commercial stock. they've got the temperament of more commercial stock too. But I've already pulled 2 splits out of them. This is a honey super, and they are working the outer frames on those. I think I put a foundation in the center here. I'm not sure if they're drawing that yet or not. Not quite. But they are festooning there and drawing this other side out some. Okay, so we'll give them a box. Now this big fast hive I was just bragging on, I got a swarm cell there, and it did have an egg in it. So they're gonna try to swarm on me, even though I've pulled 2 splits out of them. Good grief. I don't think I'm gonna do anything with them today. I'll come back next week and deal with them. So here's something that's good to see. I pulled a split out of this hive and gave them some foundations back because I didn't have drawn comb. And they've drawn that out. Oh, and there's eggs in there already. Queen's been up here laying. That's good to see. Good to see. They'll generally draw out foundations in the brood nest before they will a honey super, so that doesn't necessarily indicate we're in a great honey flow yet, but hopefully we've got one coming. I did pull a brood frame up into this foundation box, and I'll drop a foundation back in here, so hopefully that'll get them up into the super drawing foundations. So that hive I've already taken 2 splits out of on the 7th, and that box is almost full of honey. That was a box of drawn comb, so I gave them a foundation box, pulled 1 frame up. This one I've only taken 1 split out of. You can see they're working all the way across this box of drawn comb, and they've got white wax that they're building on the edges up here on the top, so they're on a little bit of a flow. I'm going to box them as well. My time is very short right now. I've got a lot going on. I've got a great big honey order to get done. I've got queens in a builder. I've got to make another round of splits next week. Got to deliver honey next week. And we're entering a flow 2 weeks earlier than I expected. So I'm boxing everything and hoping I can be ahead of them instead of getting behind. Because if I get behind, they'll plug out and swarm off. But if I keep ahead of them, hopefully I'll make a good honey crop this year. So my stack of boxes is quite a bit smaller. I think I put 13 in this yard. And I wanted to follow up on this big hive over here that's getting ready to swarm. I've got queen cells coming out next week, and in my experience, when a hive gets like this and I don't have drawn comb to give them, it's hard to keep them from swarming unless you take all their brood away. And I need resources to make nukes anyway, so I'll probably bust that thing down really hard. And if they're just putting eggs in queen cups today, I've got 16 days, 10 to 12 days probably, and I'll have queen cells ready in that amount of time. So I'll come back and either take all their brood away and restart that colony, or just split it down really, really hard. I need resources. I'm always trying to put things to their highest and best use. Highest and best use for a colony that wants to swarm on me is to make nukes. It's not to go live in the trees somewhere. Well, I caught them in the act. Pulled into this yard, and there's a swarm collecting on that cedar limb right there. Oh, and there's another giant one right up there. Crap. I wonder which hive those came out of. Geez, I've split these hives down hard. Give that a big thumbs down. 2 big swarms in that tree. Split them down hard already, but not hard enough, I guess. I might be able to get the lower one. I've got a basket on a paint pole. That upper one, I can't do anything for them but come over here and hang a swarm trap up, which of course I will do. Crap. All right, need to focus on boxing everything, making honey, and then I'll worry with these darn swarms. So there's this bank over here. I just set up a couple of bait hives there. Being on the ground, the bees don't prefer it as much, but they are up on that bank, so maybe. I don't have any drawn combs in there. I've got some old moth-eaten comb at the barn. I'll go grab some of that and get my paint pole and see if I can manually catch either one of these. That's two really big swarms there. I don't know which hive that's coming out of. Can't win them all. Oh, we got two swarms in the tree already. I guess I can tell which one, maybe which one swarmed. These four here are all virgins I got from Corey Stevens last year. That one is definitely swarming. But it looks like the bees in the tree are coming back, which is strange. Maybe they didn't have a queen with them. If that's true, I'll just split that thing 3 times with double screen boards. Try to keep the bees at home. So, left the bottom box here. That'll collect all the foragers because that's where they're oriented to. Gave them 2 boxes of foundation, so hopefully they'll feel like they swarmed. This is a box with bees and brood and stuff. Box of foundation. A lot of these bees will end up in the bottom. I may keep them. I took the top 2 boxes off, set them over here. This top box is not plugged out, so in fact those 2 boxes are not plugged out, so these bees just wanted to swarm. I blame them for that, not me. I'm almost late on several of these, but I'm just in time. Almost late is still in time. But those are swarmy. So we'll get those genetics requeened. I don't see any bees in the trees in this yard, so that's good. I think I'm pretty well ahead of all these, but I know I'm gonna throw some boxes today. So I just stopped back by this yard. I found a box of moth-eaten frames. Some of them were okay. They just had honey in them. But my swarm is gone, and it's not in either one of these boxes. So either it also moved back into its parent hive, which is possible, or it's in a tree somewhere. Oh, I should be more optimistic. Maybe it's in somebody else's swarm trap. Maybe I helped somebody get started beekeeping today. I'll think that. So I pulled 2 big splits out of this on 330. This was a breeder queen. Looks like I ran out of drawn comb, dropped a box of foundation on, pulled 1 frame up. They're starting to draw that out a little bit. This flow takes off. I think they're in pretty good position. I am going to pop a couple boxes and just see what they look like underneath. So there's a foundation I dropped into the brood nest. They've got that almost completely drawn. That's nice. And the underside of that box, not looking too swarmy. I don't see any drone brood. And a few cups and stuff going on there. A little bit of drone brood. Not looking too swarmy. I'd say they're in good shape. So this is wild cherry. It's got a heavy medicinal flavor to it. It tastes like cough syrup. Luckily, it's normally a very light flow and the bees eat it. I've never tasted it I taste it every year in nectar form in frames, but I've never tasted it when I harvest honey in the honey house. That's not something you want. So this hive, I'm probably just a touch late on getting some space to them, but they're also just a bit swarmier. And we've got some wet cells. Those have got eggs in them. So I'm going to under super them with a box of foundation and give them a sense of void in this colony, and then mark them and come back next week and split them. I've got queen cells. This is Saturday. I've got queen cells ready to install next Friday. So if they've just got eggs today, then I've got 12 to 14 days, probably 12 to 16 days, somewhere in that range before those would, before this hive would try to swarm on me. So I've got some time to get it split. So I really do like these competitive advantage MPD 15 markers for marking queens. This year's green, and I got this fluorescent kind of lime green color because I thought it would be brighter and would show up better. There's a problem. I marked MQ right there like last week. It's been rained on and been in the sun a few days, and I can't even see it. I can barely see it now that I know it's there, but I just found a queen in here that I'd already marked. It also changes colors on the queens. It darkens a little bit and doesn't stand out as well. So I think I may get the dark green color and see if that holds up a little better. Well, you don't win them all. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm on my 13th colony. All of these have been queen right up to now. 2 of them actually made emergency queens. So that's not a bad percentage. I may replace those emergency queens. This one's laying worker. I open them up. They're not trying to draw their foundation. They're fanning and roaring. And then you pull a frame out, and they had a cell down here that I tore out. And then they've got eggs down in there. You probably can't see that. They've got eggs in there. Multiple eggs in cells. So this is one that I'll probably give a frame of brood and split it up into a couple and make 2 nukes out of it and introduce cells. There's a lot of things I like about beekeeping, but I would say that going through nukes and finding queens that are brand new that I grafted from my stock and seeing that they already have capped brood and are doing a fantastic job on a day with nice weather, this is peaceful to me. This is relaxation. I would do this just for fun. Love it. So it's been exactly 21 days since these queens emerged, and she's already got 2 full frames of brood in here. This one is completely capped. Another one is just as full as this and is being capped over, and then she's got another couple that have got at least a half a frame. This is the reason that at 5 weeks, these nukes have got to get another box on them or be sold or something, because they're going to explode. Every one of these frames of brood will become at least 2 frames of bees. This queen's dynamite. She's doing a really good job. Especially for one this young. It takes a while for them to mature and really hit their stride. So we've got some black locust going and Tulip poplar. Next 2 weeks should be interesting. So I found some pretty crusty frames that were in the barn that were from a dead out last year. I got a bunch of wax moth in them, but the honey super on that dead out had a lot of wax moth in it, but the comb was in okay shape. So can you tell which hive I stuck that box on? Yeah, I'd say they're making good progress getting that cleaned out and usable. Amazing how quick they can clean things up, how much they can fix. I'm doing yard work today, and not the kind of yard work that my wife likes for me to do. Doing bee yard work. I established this little yard last year. I just wanted to get a presence in here and get access to the property and see how the bees were gonna do, and didn't want to put a lot of effort into sprucing the place up, so to speak, until I had an idea of how it was going to work. I've decided to go full bore into this location. I don't like these shade trees up here. This is south facing, but I've got a lot of shade coming from the south, but it does get sun through the day. But these brushy trees, privet and sumacs and cedars and stuff, these smaller trees really throw a lot of shade. And I had more beetle pressure last year, so I'm gonna do a couple things. I got permission to clear a lot of this stuff out in this fence row, and I'm gonna expand the yard and go ahead and put down 30-pound felt paper. I've culled most of these hives out to make splits. I'm probably gonna cull these two out as well because they're slow getting going, and then just reestablish this yard with all new genetics, and that'll give me a chance to put felt paper under those hives as well. And yeah, it's 44 degrees right now, so that's a pretty good day for it. Those bees are actually flying a little bit, so I'll have to suit up. A lot of times they don't like the weed eater and the chainsaw. That's a little more respectable. Privet and sumac will come back with a vengeance if you don't treat the cut stump. I'm using Tordon. That works really well. On privet, you can also use pure 41% glyphosate. That also works really well. Tordon works on more trees. I don't want any of those coming back. Hopefully I'll get a little bit more sun here. I wish that some of these bigger trees were gone so I'd get early sun, but it is what it is.